Trump forced Modi to import its defense equipment, especially the F-35s. Trump wants to protect his electoral lobby, and a large part of his electoral base is farmers. So who's the next candidate for pressure? Answer is India. India needs to look at Malaysia and Indonesia. Look at countries that have a large population while now the world is burning. And Trump continues to fiddle. Hi, this is RN Bhaskar from Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. Today, we're going to talk about a new policy story. It's not exactly a policy, but it's a development that influences several policies. It's a story about how Trump continues to fiddle while the fires raging around him. Remember the old phrase, Nero fiddling while Rome burns? Well, now the world is burning. And Trump continues to fiddle, disregardful of what's happening, even proud of what is happening. Let's take some of the incidents. When Prime Minister Modi met Trump at the Oval Office, shortly after he became President of the US for the second time, he was subjected to an immense pressure, and this is one of the rare times when Prime Minister Modi did not go to the US and celebrate and allow rallies to be held in his favor with an Indian diaspora. Something happened there, and he came back quietly. At that time, people who were in the know of what happened said,
there is a 10 years defense partnership roadmap which is being prepared or has been prepared. Openly, Trump has said India needs to buy defense equipment from America, billions of dollars, which should eventually lead to India buying F-35 as well.
Trump forced Modi to import its defense equipment, especially the F-35s. Each F-35 costs about $200 million to $300 million. Trump also forced Modi to agree that US will be allowed to export his agricultural produce. And Trump agreed with Modi that US would increase its trade with India from just $150 billion to $500. Let's take how India got burnt. First, India got burnt because Trump had asked India to purchase F-35s. In fact, in the war theater between Iran and Israel, at least 3 F-35s were shot down, and many more F-35s were damaged at an airport called Nevatim. Israel does not admit to any of these, but the international experts who say that these were the aircraft that were shot down.
I say again, the Israeli aircraft never came closer than 70 to 100 kilometers from Iranian airspace. They weren't able to penetrate.
These aircraft did not work as effectively against the weaponry and the defenses that Iran had. If that is not all, look at what happened in India. An F-35 from a British warship was flying, ran out of fuel, and decided to land in India on a Mayday call. It landed in Kerala. And afterwards, when it tried to take off, after refueling, it found that it could not fly. Experts were sent to repair it, and none of them could repair it. The US was unwilling to leave the F-35s on the tarmac within India because it was scared that someone would steal the secrets within the F-35. So what did they do? They decided to send plane loads of technicians who would strip the F-35 into many pieces and fly them back again so that the disabled plane would not be available in India. So much for the reliability of the F-35s, and India has been compelled almost to purchase that plane. Let's take in case of burning. Trump wants to protect his electoral lobby. And a large part of his electoral base is farmers. Earlier, the farmers used to export their soybean to China. Other agricultural products also went to China because China has moved very quickly from being an agriculture country to being an industrial country. And China's need, because the soybean is used to feed pigs. So who's the next candidate for pressure? Answer is India. India has a large population. And Trump said, you better buy my soybean. You better buy my other agriculture produce. And you also buy my GM seeds, genetically modified seeds, which India does not allow. Normally, possibly, India would have agreed. But when Modi came back, he could sense the groundswell of opposition building. And the farm lobby, when it gets together, can be very dangerous. Remember the agitations on the 3 farm laws?
Stone pelting has started once again. But these farmers taking these water cannons, right being at the front, they're not affected by it at all.
It brought Delhi down almost. The government tried everything, including calling them traitors, anti-nationals, and sending the police in on a winter morning and spraying them with cold water. It took away the tents, the blankets. The farmers remained undeterred. And finally, the government had to capitulate. The government does not want to face that same situation again. So as of now, the government said, no, we will not allow imports of agriculture. But that is going to create a huge strain between India and US relations, another fire that's there. Just let me give you a reminder. The reminder is to click the subscribe button, click the like button, and please tell your friends about us so that our audience grows. And India is not the only one to be burnt. Look at the way Ukraine is being burnt. After coming to office saying that I shall stop the war within a week. Last week, recently, he agreed to supply Ukraine with more arms. Obviously, Trump is under pressure. He is under pressure from the MIC, the military industry complex. He is also under pressure from players like BlackRock, which have huge investments in Ukraine. Lots of powerful Americans had purchased land in Ukraine before the war. Many of those lands were mineral lands. When the war began, Russia annexed those lands, and the oblasts now belong to Russia. When they fled, when the rich, powerful people fled Ukraine, they mortgaged their properties with BlackRock because they wanted the money and get out. So BlackRock is stuck with a lot of investments in Ukraine. The same thing's happening in Israel. The military industry complex wants to continue the war. The very powerful Israeli lobby in the US called the IPAC also wants to continue the war. They don't want to stop the war with Gaza or with the West Bank or with Lebanon or with everyone else. Consider this. The one country that has caused the maximum wars in the Middle East is Israel, with the backing of the US. So the fires continue raging. In Israel, the fires are so fierce that for the first time, every Arab state is now beginning to talk to each other. And when Israel went against Iran, thinking that they could finish them off, Iran gave them such blows that it destroyed much of Tel Aviv, it destroyed Haifa, it destroyed all the ports, it even bombed Ben Gurion Airport. Many military installations have been bombed. This is something Israel was not ready for. And when Trump came in with a demand for ceasefire, Iran said, we're always ready for ceasefire. We didn't want the war. You started the war. And now it's known, and experts talk about it, not the US, not Israel, that it was Israel which squealed to the government, to the US government, please stop the war. We are losing, and we have just about 10 days of shells, of artillery shells left. Our anti-aircraft, Iron Dome, and everything else did not have even the basic shells to fire at incoming missiles. For the first time, the fire that's raging in the Middle East has shown how Israel is very weak, unlike the legend that nobody can touch Israel. And there are other fires. He tried to impose a tariff on Canada, and Canada retaliated with a tariff on energy. Whole of North America depends on energy from Canada because Canada has hydroelectric power, the cheapest and the cleanest type of power that is available. Germany, which used to be a friend, has now joined up with Canada to make sure that they don't have to pay higher tariffs. So has Japan. So there are fires raging there also. And don't forget that there's a fire raging with China, where USA wanted to attack China, but finds that given the two big wars that are draining it, it cannot focus on China. China's grinning, obviously, from year to year at the discomfiture of the US. But Trump is unconcerned. He continues fiddling, even while the fires burn. It's only a matter of time that India will have to realize that if it wants to stop getting burnt, it has to look at other markets in East Asia. But India has not done that. India needs to look at Malaysia and Indonesia. Look at countries that have a large population, because every person who lives there is a market. You can't ignore these markets. And India is playing into America's hands. India is left with no options but to depend on America. It won't be long if India becomes another Zelensky to be used as a foil against China, and India will be destroyed the way Ukraine has been. India needs to be careful. Beware of the fires that Trump has started. Start insulating yourself quickly. Will someone tell the government how to do this? Thanks for watching me. And yes, we'll come back next week with another story, with another policy watch, with another conversation. Stay tuned in. We love you to be with us. Thank you. You'll find us now every morning at 8:15 a.m. on weekdays, where we come out with daily news, or better still, news behind the news. Do watch it.